Hello everyone. Today we're diving into something that affects every single one of us, our emotions, and how they often control our lives without us even realizing it. I want you to stay with me throughout this entire video because what I'm about to share might completely transform how you experience emotions from this day forward. Have you ever felt like a prisoner to your own feelings? Perhaps anger consumed you during an argument, anxiety paralyzed you before an important event, or grief seemed to swallow your entire existence. These emotional chains can be suffocating, limiting the fullness of our human experience. But what if I told you that the ancient Stoics discovered a path to emotional freedom thousands of years ago? The Stoic philosophers weren't suggesting we become emotionless robots. Rather, they offered profound insights into how we might experience emotions without being enslaved by them. As Epictetus, a former slave who became one of history's greatest philosophical teachers, wisely noted, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters." This simple yet powerful observation forms the foundation of emotional freedom. Consider for a moment how often your emotions arise, not from events themselves, but from your perception of those events. A rainy day isn't inherently good or bad. It becomes disappointing only when you had planned a picnic. Your colleague's promotion becomes unfair only through the lens of comparison. The Stoics recognize this fundamental truth. Events are neutral. Our judgments create our emotional reality. As Seneca, the great Roman statesman and philosopher, put it, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about your own experience. How many of your emotional storms have been created by thoughts about what might happen rather than what actually did? I remember a time when I received harsh criticism for a project I'd poured my heart into. Initially, I felt crushed, defensive, even angry. But when I paused to examine these emotions, I realized they stemmed from my judgment that criticism meant failure. Once I separated the event, receiving feedback, from my interpretation, "I'm a failure," I could unchain myself from that emotional reaction. The Stoics taught a revolutionary practice called the dichotomy of control, a simple yet profound framework for emotional freedom. As Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This isn't just ancient wisdom, it's practical psychology that can transform your daily life. So, how do we actually unchain our emotions in practice? First, we create space between stimulus and response. When you feel an emotional surge, pause. Take a breath. Observe the feeling without immediately acting on it. This simple pause breaks the automatic chain reaction that often leads to regret. Second, question your interpretations. When you feel intense emotion rising, ask yourself, what judgment am I making about this situation? Is this the only possible interpretation? Often you'll discover multiple ways to view the same event, some causing suffering and others leading to peace. Third, practice what the Stoics called voluntary discomfort. By intentionally exposing yourself to small challenges, cold showers, fasting for a day, or speaking in public, you build resilience that transfers to all areas of life. As Epictetus advised, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Remember that unchaining your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them. The Stoics weren't advocating for denial, but for clear-eyed acceptance followed by reasoned choice. You can fully experience grief over a loss while choosing not to let it define your entire existence. You can acknowledge anger at injustice while channeling it toward constructive action rather than destructive reaction. As Seneca wisely observed, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. This applies to all turbulent emotions. By creating that crucial space between feeling and action, we reclaim our power to choose our response. The freedom I'm describing isn't achieved overnight. Like any worthwhile skill, it requires practice, patience, and compassion toward yourself when you falter. But with consistent effort, you'll experience a profound shift. Emotions will flow through you without controlling you. You'll respond rather than react. You'll choose rather than be chosen for. This is the essence of what it means to unchain your emotions. Not to eliminate them, but to experience them from a place of inner freedom. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Thank you for staying with me through this exploration. May you find the strength to unchain your emotions and experience the profound freedom that awaits on the other side.